Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 70 blooming one.
Woohoo!
Episode 71. I know. Unbelievable. It
Oh,
must be about at least 20 years since we did episode one. Oh, more on that in a minute. Woo! I can't wait. So, the Champ We Are United podcast. Welcome back to all the usual listeners. I hope you're all well and enjoying all the content that we usually deliver. I say deliver, we do our best. I wouldn't call it delivering, but hey, we try. Let's introduce all of the usual suspects in the studio, not in the studio. And let's say hello, first of all, to the luscious locks of Ridders.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, listeners. Thanks, Go. Looking forward to a good show tonight. A couple of important games we're going to go through. So, could be good. Could be good.
You say a couple of things that you're going to go through. Well, let's move on to Tangent because he's got about 702 things he's going to go through. Let's say hello to the Tangent Man himself. It's Paul Tangent Paul.
Cheers, Cole. I tell you what, when we get to episode 100 or 150, how many tangents are going to be in my nickname? It take up half the pod. But yeah, really excited tonight. As Riddard said, I think we've got the future of British football coming up in the challenge, and obviously we've got Danefield United about to embark on their 1982 European Cup final. So two absolute massive matches to cover, and I'm sure you'll tell us all the other things that we've got going on tonight as well.
Well, we're calling it the Cup final special, aren't we? I'm sure you'll touch on that a little bit later. So as I said in the previous episode, we've got Stan Boardman, Bernie Clifton, Des Lynam, ABBA are coming in. The Crankies are going to do a little bit of a set, and I still can't believe that was a woman. To be honest, took me years to get over that. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, let's say hello. What?
It's Stan Ballman. I'm sure he's definitely bloke.
Yeah, it bombed our tip shop. So. Let's say hello to which nickname am I going to call him this time? It's only Mute Button Matt.
Hey, hi, Goal. Hi, guys. Hi, listeners. Hope everybody's really well. Yeah, really excited about this cup final special. I've been making a cup with all the tinfoil in the house has disappeared because I've made a European Cup and Challenge final cup to parade around the studio.
I've made a few projectiles to throw at a policeman's helmet, which sounded much ruder than I meant it to be. But
hey, I wish you put that helmet away.
He's never been the same since that cameo appearance.
Oh. So, we briefly go through the running order in more detail, but briefly, if you follow me. So, first of all, it will be our section that we now call Melvin's Musings from the Melvster, and also a little bit of social media. Oh, that was easy for me to say, wasn't it? Social media feedback, and then we will move on to the first section in the Cup Final Special. Tangent, what are you doing? I know we already kind of know, but go ahead, Tangent.
Well, we've finally got there. It's the European Cup Final, 1982.
All right, shut up now. All right, shut up now. No, go on. It's the final episode, isn't it, for that?
Yeah, it's the final episode. Danefield United take on Italian giants Tavento.
Hey! Hey! Oh, I've been waiting for this. Oh, for so many episodes. The final episode. Hopefully, he'll never speak again.
You should be so lucky.
And then we'll have Ridders. Ridders, what's your section? This is another Cup Final special section.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so it's the final part of my look at the challenge, pitch story month number 10, and it features the actual challenge match between Mike Preston's Select and the dominant London United, and we'll find out who wins a bit later on.
That was someone at Preston Select.
No spoilers. I know I've read it, but I still don't want to know. And then we'll go back to Tangent Paul, who will just briefly talk about the big sellers on the internet, comic-wise. We'll come back to that later. And then Matt, the man with no nickname that's now got a nickname that's called Mute Button Matt. he'll be doing something as a part one. Yeah, it's not just cup final special. Matt's starting a new section. What is it?
Well, I'll be coming off mute to do a section called Roy Goes in Goal. This is
Can you come off mute there and repeat because you were on mute? No, I'm only kidding.
Yes, Roy Goes in Goal. So this is all the times. He's saying with a degree of trepidation because I'm not quite sure if it's all the times. How many times Roy Race went in goal over the years? Yeah, we're starting that tonight.
I'm really looking forward to that. Excellent work,
Can't
gentlemen, as always. Then we'll be going on to what's coming up in the next episode and some news on a special guest coming on in a future episode. I know we're always having special guests on now. It's great, isn't it? I love it. And then, of course, the all of the social media sites and addresses, and then the goodbyes. So, are we ready?
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. For what? What are we doing?
I don't know. I never know what we're doing. We just make it up as we go along. And somehow we got to episode 71. What happened there? Okay, let's begin. And let's start off with the section that we call Melvin's Musings, which is also known as the social media feedback. Matt, it's over to you.
Thank you very much, Golf. Yeah, we call it Melvin's Musings because his feedback.
We're calling it what? What did you?
Melvin's what? What did I call it? Melvin's Musings.
It just sounded like Mel's Musings.
I really should stop drinking before I come on and record. Yeah, so we call it Melvin's Musings because his feedback takes up 60% of the section. So we just thought it's only fair. Hi, Trevor. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So we've got two shows. We've got two shows to give feedback on tonight. This will go on quite a while. So we've got episode 69 and episode 70. So let's do 69 first. Obviously, this is the one where we had the challenge.
Hang on. Oh, sorry to interrupt. Oh, sorry. They're still here from last time. Strike it up, lads. Oh, it's Melvin's Musings.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
Voice of an angel.
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Kings of Leon. Appreciate that. So 69 was the one where Johnny Cougar. We had the challenge building up to the match, which we're going to hear about tonight, and obviously Danefield, the quarterfinals and the semi-finals. So the feedback, let's go. So the Baldy Man, good old Simo. Hi, Simo. He said, listening now to Tangent Paul and his never-ending Danefield story. He said maybe a guest appearance from Limal to do the theme tune next time.
Spot on.
Brilliant.
Good shout, Simo.
Just waiting for the goal to
turn it on. We don't want no more tangent sections.
That's not bad. That's very good.
Yeah.
Totally unrehearsed. You didn't know I was going to do that. Anyway, carrying on with the feedback. Pierre Castanet. He said, what you going to do, brother, when Johnny Cougar runs wild on you? Probably Hulk Hogan's favourite comic strip growing up. And Mark Anderson says Splash Gordon and Bill McLean going to be on as well. And obviously they did get a mention. Rob Minot said he used to love Johnny Cougar. And Kevin Critchlow said, mighty big idea to read his story. Thanks, Kevin. Stephen Nichols said, just finished listening to the previous pod. Oh, okay. So this is feedback on the other one with David Skew and Barry. Brilliant guys, great stories. Interesting to hear them talk about Scorer. Keep up the good work. Love the pod. So thanks, Stephen. And then, of course, it's time for the Melvster. And he goes, perhaps it's because we're approaching the business end of the season, but episode 69 of the Champ We Are United podcast was breathless stuff at times. Even during pre-match proceedings, Gold, captain the team this week, displayed a fine set of pipes as he belted out a Melvin's Musings theme tune. A true badge of honour for the Melvster, if ever there was one.
Get in, Melvster. Get in.
Yeah. Ridders kicked off things with a blistering pace and showed he was more than up to the challenge with the second part of a thrilling trademark run, which took us deep into United versus territory. The crowd drew a breath, though, as FFP rules were briefly under threat when the comic magnate Tangent Paul threatened to enter into a live bidding war for the first edition of Tiger, replete with free gift. However, with a points deduction seemingly on the cards, no official offer was made in the end. I don't think it's the last we're going to hear of this one, so watch this space for further developments. But someone who did dip into the transfer market and strengthen his collection was Goal, who announced that he'd shrewdly acquired a couple of classic Match of the Day monthly magazines, which featured some of the final War of the Rovers comic strips. As we approached the halfway mark, things then started to get very physical when Mute Button Matt, the presenter, formerly known as the man with no nickname, hit us with a Johnny Cougar, This Is Your Comic Life special. Our memories were joyously jolted into remembering the Native Americans wrestling ring heroics against opponents like Big Daddy. And after picking ourselves off the canvas, Tangent Paul then flung us straight into the hard man, no less, which left us all gasping for air. Yes, taking us deep into added on time, part 4 of Tangent's epic Danefield United, a European Cup run, saw us travel to Belgium and Russia via Danefield Magistrates Court. It was a memorable man of the match display from Tangent Paul, which might just see the champ We Are United midfield comic duo challenging for both a podcast player of the year award and a BAFTA. Yeah, your performance last time, Paul, was incredible. If this wasn't enough excitement, though, we were informed that a champ We Are United podcast special, and then he mentions Giles Corran. So great stuff.
Yeah.
Cheers, Trevor.
I'll tell you something. As musings go, that was top draw Meltzerism. That was.
Yeah, it was indeed.
very, very much so. Then we go to Twitter, and Hamish Witter, the fellow who does the blog on Tiger Comics, which is superb. I was reading it today. Hamish, great stuff. 1975. He says, great episode. I'm a massive fan of Johnny Cougar. When I first started reading Tiger in 81, 82, he was having a great run. I don't think he would do so well in WWE. His microphone skills are probably not up to the scratch. Pair him up with Paul Heyman and he'd look a lot better. And also, he actually, what he did on Twitter was he actually superimposed a picture of Johnny Cougar up against The Rock, which was
brilliant.
Good
Fantastic.
editing skills. Well done, Hamish.
Yeah.
Also on Twitter, Barry Tomlinson. He said Johnny Cougar and his author are heap flattered. So thank you very much, Barry.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show. And then on the Champ We're United site for episode 69, Ian Golden said, love all the United first team names. A new Wembley Stadium was also predicted in that story too, wasn't it? And
yeah,
Ridders, you went back to him
right.
and said, it's all at Super Wembley.
Yeah.
So that was good stuff. And then Adrian Lord, friend of the show. Hi, Adrian. He says a big shout out to Ridders. If they bring back Jack and Nori, you're in.
Yeah.
Great feedback from Ridders.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to like that.
And he said, just got to the end of the podcast. It's been a great episode, and it kept him company between Leicester and Sheffield on the bus, walking and train. Well done as always, guys. I enjoyed Paul's Danefield story too. I'm sure it was shorter in the comic.
You might have a point there, Adrian. I think you've got a very good point, to be quite honest.
Yeah, so
I don't think half of what Tangent said actually happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Barry might.
I don't care. According to Melvin, I'm up for a BAFTA, so
Screwed a lot of you.
Yeah, exactly.
So that was the feedback for episode 69. Moving on to episode 70, which was the special one we did with Giles Corran. Back to the
Friend of the show.
Melster. Yeah, Giles Corran, friend of the show. Yeah, everyone's a friend of the show.
Yeah.
We need to have some enemies of the show as well. We'll get some of them. I'm sure we've got some. I'm sure.
Yeah,
they're building up now.
Be careful what you wish for.
Careful what you wish for, yeah. So the Melster said,
someone like Skeletor.
Yeah, because I know he's always listened to podcasts.
I'll get you, Tangent Paul, I'll get you. Actually sounded more like Ronnie Corbett, didn't it? I'm so sorry.
Ronnie Corbett does Skeletor.
That's because 70% of your impersonations do sound like Ronnie. Right, the Melster. In this tasty We Are United podcast matchup, Matt goes man-to-man with the Times food critic and Roy the Rovers fan, Giles Corran. Contrary to the title of his podcast, Giles Corran has no idea. Mr. Corran clearly knows his way around comics, Roy the Rovers and Loftus Road. Mr. Corrin, who perhaps has a bit of a Johnny Dexter hardman reputation within journalistic circles, is a real sport, revealing his love of Queen's Park Rangers Football Club, that he has taste for those irresistible 70s flair players with bad boy reputations. Stan Bowles, RIP, because he obviously passed away just a few days after, didn't he?
Yeah.
Tony Curry and Frank Worthington et al. A really lively and enjoyable podcast encounter which tackles a smorgasbord of personal comic and football recollections. Can't recommend it enough. Great work, Matt, and thank you to your guest, Giles Corrin, who's a wonderful interviewee. And as always, well done to Brett. I don't know who Brett Mayo. I don't know who he is.
He's always got some weird
Richardson.
comments on the site as well, hasn't he, that Brett?
Weirdo. Absolutely weirdo.
Yeah, very strange.
Who
Very
was
left field.
Enemy of the show.
Enemy of the show, yeah. Brett Mayo, enemy of the show. Our kryptonite.
Yeah.
Adrian Lord said, this was a fabulous interview. I properly enjoyed listening to Giles. Matt, you had the skills to be a great interviewer, allowing the person to talk rather than interrupt. Thanks, Adrian. That was well worth the 20 quid I sent you. Appreciate that, Matt. Gary Norton said, I really enjoyed this. Great interview. A very passionate fan of both comics and QPR. Even more poignant following the sad passing of Stan Bowles.
Yeah.
That would make a good episode. Comic book footballing mavericks, a la Bowles, Worthington, Marsh, and Best.
Yeah, that's an interesting
good
one.
idea.
Yeah.
Good idea. Yeah, we'll have a think about that. And what else was it? Oh yeah, so final one on Twitter actually from Giles himself. So Giles Corrin said he retweeted it and said, niche stuff here, but I enjoyed it hugely.
Brilliant.
So
Fantastic.
Yeah.
good stuff. That's it. Oh, God blimey.
Wow.
It's at the end of the podcast, isn't it? That's all the feedback. But thank you. Thanks for all the feedback. Really appreciate it on all the sites. Yeah, keep sending it in. You know, if you like stuff, tell us. If you don't tell us. No, tell us that as well. But thank you very much. Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. No, yeah, fantastic. Thanks.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. I just take a rest there now, mute button, Matt, because that was quite a lot, wasn't it? It really was.
Lucky enough, I've got 45 minutes to sit and do nothing now.
Oh no, we're not going over to Tangent Pool just yet because we've got some exciting sort of anniversary news. So today is the 3rd of March. Correct me if I'm wrong. And amazingly, it's our 3rd birthday. 3 years ago to this very day, today, episode 1 was recorded. And it featured myself, Gull. Oh, I didn't introduce myself earlier on, did I? Oh, hello. I keep forgetting that bit.
Wonder who you were.
Yeah, I know. It was that Brett Mayer guy infiltrating again. So yeah, it was episode 1 was with myself and Rab. Simo was due to join us as well, but had some technical issues. And then of course Ridders, who joined us on episode 2. And here we are, 3 years later, 71 episodes in. So it's a happy birthday to us. And I think, I'm not sure, because I think that Dot's having to lead him into the studio, but hang on a second.
Is it a birthday cake?
No, we haven't got that much of a budget. What are you talking about? Hang on.
You dipped into the swear jar again.
I know. Giles Corrin filled that up, didn't he, last time? Can I let this person in? Are you going to shut up so I can let this person in? Hang on.
Go on.
Oh, it's only bloody Stevie Wonder.
No.
Are you ready? Yeah, I know. I can't believe it. He had to be guided in by Dot, but here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
Is that it? Is he okay, Steve? He seems to have faded.
I think he had a bit of a wobble halfway through that, to be honest. But yeah. So
thanks,
feel
Stevie.
free to send in your happy birthday messages or not. I don't mind. But yeah, 3 years ago, we started this, and we're so proud of how far we've come. But we wouldn't be anywhere without the listeners. So thank you very much. I got to stop now because I'm filling up.
And shouts out to Rab as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I hope you're doing well, Rab.
Contributors, Verso, and brilliant.
Yeah, everybody that's made a contribution. But as you said there, Matt, personally, I have to say, to you, their goal and Rab to have kicked that first podcast off with no real idea of what you were going to do. Really, kudos to both of you.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
and I can't wait
Go on.
until you do get an idea of what to do either, because it's gonna
I was going to say I'm quite proud of myself entering into episode 71, not knowing what I was going to do. Oh, hello!
Yeah, they're
Is that a
coming
fire
for him.
engine?
They're coming for him. That's not a fire
Blimey.
engine, is it?
Sounds like the police or something. I haven't got enough budget to get them in today.
No.
Right, here we go then. Oh, it's Cup Final Special. Woo! Hello! Starting 5 hours early on BBC One or on the red button. Here we go. Here we go. It's time for Tangent Paul. It's Cup Final Special. Over to you, Tangent.
Cheers, Goal. Thanks very much. So I'm sure most of you remember this is now welcome to part 5 and the final part of Danefield United run to the European Cup final 1982. So Danefield are going to be taking on Italian giants Tavento. We're not informed where the match is. Obviously, it'll be a neutral venue, but we see a proud Victor Boskovic in his suit, waistcoat. See, you thought Gareth Southgate was the first, but he's actually just a follower of Victor Boskovic. And he's leading out his players, and they're all wearing a smart tracksuit top over their jerseys. And we see a fantastic panel with the two teams lining up to listen to the two national anthems. And then we're over to the kickoff. Of course, the players taking off their tracksuit tops, and Captain Johnny Dexter is there in the centre circle, ready for the toss, and he shakes hands with the Italian captain. But can you believe it? The Italian captain straight away, "Oh, my hand!" and he's collapsing to the ground and pointing to his hand, complaining that Johnny has crushed his hand. Straight away the ref's over and he's saying, "Cut out the rough stuff. I want no bullying tactics in this match. I shall have an eye on you from now on," as Johnny's looking quite worried. Immediately though, Victor, you know what he's like. He's not going to let the Italians get away with this so easily. He's on the touchline and he's screaming at Bob Baker, "Collapse now, I order you to." Bob Baker just collapses onto the field, which enables Victor to get onto the field, calling Johnny over, and he's telling him that Bob Baker's okay, but he needed to get onto the pitch to warn Johnny that the Tavento players have obviously a plan to upset him. Johnny, though, smiles back at his manager and says, "Don't worry, boss. I'd already figured that out. I'll be okay."
So Victor's decided to now managers run on the pitch to treat players. That's just what Victor, you try and tell Victor not to do that.
He grabbed the first aid box, so I'm sure the ref didn't know. So it's all good. It's all good. Okay. That caused a 5-minute delay, but the final's off. And again, I mentioned this. It's a brilliant panel as Tavento kick off the match, and we kind of just get all the bubbles across the crowds with the chants for Tavento and United for Danefield. But straight from the kickoff, we can see why Tavento have made the final and passing the ball around. But we see Johnny straight into the action and he's out-muscling a Tavento player to win the ball. But once again, we see the Tavento player diving to the ground, but not this time. The referee waves play on as a fair challenge. So as the Tavento player gets to his feet, Johnny turns around to him and says, "Tough luck, little man. Perhaps you should have rehearsed that more." But instantaneously, the Tavento player is back on the ground, rolling around, pretending that Dexter has punched him.
But this time, I've got a picture of him. His arms just out.
Yeah, flailed out. Yeah, exactly. It's a brilliant. It's almost like Del at the bar in The Wire when he falls over. But the linesman though is waving his flag furiously. He's calling the ref over, and can you believe it? I'm not sure we're even really a minute into this final, and that's it. Johnny is booked for violent behaviour. Dexter just can't believe it, and we can hear him just saying to himself, "What sort of match is this going to be?" But from there, we see, though, England international Kevin Taylor, as we've seen so many times throughout this campaign, is straight over to Johnny and he's grabbing Johnny and he's pulling him away. Johnny, of course, if you remember the semi-final when Victor subbed Johnny, Johnny's straight over to the touchline to tell Victor Boskovic that he's got I don't get any ideas of substituting me. Victor responds to Johnny and tells him he has no intention of subbing him, but we see a think bubble. Victor saying to himself, "Well, not yet anyway." So we're back to the action. Tavento are showing their skill once more. They force a save from Andy Watson. We also see the action in midfield areas with the Italians diving sometimes with the ref waving play on. Other times they're winning free kicks. One dive saw Tavento swing, again a free kick, and they swing the ball into the Danefield area. But Eric Burnside's equal to it. He intercepts it and then he clears it upfield to Alistair Stewart, who hooks the ball onto Bob Baker, who runs onto the ball to hammer home to give Danefield the lead. And it's in the net. It's 1-0 Danefield. Can you believe that? Of course. We've already got a sense of how this final is going to go. The Tavento players have surrounded the referee. They're calling for offside, and they're all round the referee. But the ref's given the goal, and of course we have the privilege of the exclusive, if you remember this, listeners, the Roy the Rovers action replay panel, and it shows that Bob Baker was well onside.
It's incredible technology for those years, really, weren't it? 1982 to have the Roy Race action replay.
It's amazing. I mean, we were lucky, and I have to say, I mean, obviously it's a forerunner of VAR, but it was far less controversial than VAR. I don't ever remember the Roy the Rovers action replay ever getting anything wrong.
I don't.
It actually just backed up what had happened on.
Maybe we should go back
field.
to that. Maybe we can introduce when we switch to the Premier League. Can we have a Roy Race action replay?
Roy Race action replay. That would solve all of modern day football's problems.
It's the Roy Race action replay.
So it's 1-0 to Danefield United. A fantastic start for Johnny and his team. And straight away from the restart, Danefield are back on the attack. They've gained the ball, and Paul Kelly's running down the wing, and he crosses for Peter Parker. And can you believe Parker heads home, massive, stunning header, rockets in. It's 2-0 to Danefield, and it's 2 goals inside a minute for Danefield United. What a start. And as you can believe, he's been the centrepiece of this story. We see Victor Boskovic there, the panel's on Victor, and he's got his hanky out once more, and there's just tears streaming down his face. And he just says, my team of all-stars, they are wonderful. I adore them all. I weep with joy. They are a team of supermen. So, we move on, of course. The goals have opened up the final, and we see England's centre forward Kevin Taylor. He's through, and he forces a great save from the Tavento keeper to almost, can you believe, give Danefield a 3-goal advantage in this final. Then we see, though, the Tavento players are still diving, and once more they've gained a free kick, and this time it's a fantastic free kick, obviously rehearsed on the training ground. It's a 3-man move, and it sees the Italians pull one back with an absolutely amazing curling shot. Yeah. So it's 2-1 now to Danefield. And can you believe, just within 10 minutes, Tavento now are showing all their class, and with a great passing move, ends with them gaining an equaliser, a tap-in, and it's 2-2. And once more, Victor is centre stage, and the tears now, they're no longer tears of joy. Now we see Victor crying again, but there's tears of despair, and he's certainly changed his attitude as he says, United are bungling oafs. Now, there's a word that we don't hear so often these days.
The Tavento player who scored the second goal, what's his name? Giovanni. He's some sort of fell off and Strictly Come Dancing or something like that. What's all that about?
I did see that.
Multi-skilled.
What number does he normally play at?
He's number 8 in this. He's number 8 in this final. I can tell you that much. So, of course, this really has come as quite a shock now. You can imagine that Danefield were coasting, but now all of a sudden it's all Tavento. And if Danefield are defending desperately, suddenly we see the Italian number 9 firing a shot, and it hits Eric Burnside on the arm, and he was within point blank range of Burnside. There was just nothing that Burnside could do. He couldn't get out of the way of it. But can you believe the referee has actually awarded a penalty? No. The Danefield players are now surrounding the referee. Alistair Stewart's looking over at his captain and saying, come on, join in. But Johnny Dexter doesn't want anything to do with it, of course, getting that booking early on in the match. He doesn't want a second booking and to get sent off. And so it's a penalty now. Obviously, Danefield were 2-0 up. The Italian number 9, he steps up and he just calmly slots the penalty home in the bottom left corner of the net. And the Italians are celebrating wildly. Of course, they've now overturned a 2-goal deficit to lead this final 3-2. Bear in mind, remember, we're still in the first half. As you can imagine now, this dramatic turnaround, it's all to Vento. Danefield are really desperately defending. We see Johnny Dexter leaping between two Tavento forwards. He's heading the ball out for a corner. The corner's viciously whipped into the near post, but there's Andy Watson. He's diving low and to catch the ball, and the referee blows his whistle almost instantaneously, and that brings an end to the first half. And once more, we see Victor Boskovic. He's off down the tunnel. He's already on his way, and in the think bubble, his things do not look good, and he's decided that it's time for his secret weapon. And yes, listeners, you've heard about some of these things already. We have got another stonking half-time team talk from Victor. So Victor's at the tunnel and the Danefield players greet him there, and he turns around to the players and he tells them that there's not much talking does need to be done. He informs them, and then we see the players, they're at the dressing room door, and Johnny Dexter's got his hand on the door, but the players are worried. They didn't like the look in Victor's eye. He has something planned. Johnny turns round to them to say, Victor always has something planned, but we have done our best. He can't grumble about that. And Johnny Dexter opens the dressing room door, and can you believe who is standing there facing Johnny and all his teammates, but none other than the world famous, world heavyweight champion wrestler, Big Daddy.
Obviously.
Well, I don't know who you were expecting, but knowing Victor Boskovic, I wasn't expecting anybody else to be. I'm amazed that anybody's surprised. Exactly.
In his leotard, though. In his leotard.
He's in his leotard. And he's got big...
shops.
Yeah.
He was after the shops in his leotard, and Victor called him, said, "Can you come and get down?" And Big Daddy said, "Oh, I got my leotard on. It's all right. I'll come over now."
What's he from Newcastle, Big Daddy?
So, of course, I'm sure Big Daddy knew this, but Victor informs them, Big Daddy, that they were 2 goals up and they've thrown the lead away. And Big Daddy tells the players he doesn't like it when a British team loses. And straight away, can you believe this? He grabs England international Kevin Taylor and Bob Baker by the scruff of the neck. And with his hands outstretched, he lifts them from the ground. And they're both shrieking. Of course, Johnny feels that he needs to intervene, and he tries to intervene with Big Daddy. And Big Daddy just immediately drops Taylor and Baker, and now he's turned his attention to Johnny Dexter, and he picks up Johnny Dexter and he slams him to the floor, and then Big Daddy then pounces on him. So we've now got Johnny on the floor with Big Daddy sitting on him, and Johnny's shouting out, "I submit, I submit." Victor steps forward to tell his players at this moment, just think, my players, if Big Daddy acts like this when you're only losing at half time, imagine what it would be like if you were losing at full time. That's enough for all the Danefield players. They all scream, they shout out that they understand the message, and they're just scrambling for the dressing room door, and they're running out to the pitch for the second half. Anything to get away from Big Daddy.
I'll tell you something, Tangent. Sorry to interrupt. I'll tell you something. I mean, we haven't heard much from the swear jar, but that put the shit up me, that did.
I think it had the same effect on the Danefield players as well. So we see then Victor's left in the dressing room with Big Daddy, and he shakes Big Daddy's hand, and Big Daddy turns around to Victor and says, "I just hope that your plan works." We see Victor then is hiding the pain because he's felt from the handshake from the great wrestler. He's wincing as Big Daddy leaves the dressing room to say, "I see you at full time." So, of course, as we've mentioned before in these updates, we move quickly, and our focus now is back to the pitch. And as you can imagine, the Danefield players are on it straight away. They're quickly on the attack. We see the England international Kevin Taylor. He's got onto the ball. He turns it forward to Alistair Stewart, who moves forward, and then he lays it on to Paul Kelly. And that's it. It's there. Kelly has fired home the equaliser for Danefield. It's 3-3, so almost straight in the second half. Danefield have got the equaliser. And it's all Danefield now, even from the kickoff. Danefield taken control. And Kevin Taylor is on the ball, and he's taken out by the Trevento number 3, an absolute massive shoulder barge into Taylor. And we've got an indirect free kick for Danefield United. And Johnny Dexter stands over the ball and he just manages to flick the ball up. And Kevin Taylor, the England international member, runs onto it and smashes an amazing right-footed curling volley into the net. And it's 4-3 to Danefield. It's an absolute stonker of a goal. And again, this match, it's gone from 2-0 to Danefield, 3-2 to Trevento, and now it's 4-3 Danefield. The Italian manager, though, is not going to let this match settle. He acts immediately and he makes 2 substitutions. He's brought off 2 midfielders, can you believe? And he's thrown on 2 centre forwards to go all out for the equaliser. So as you can imagine, though, Trevento, they don't want to give this up. They've already come back from 2 goals and they're on the attack immediately, piling on the pressure, and they're moving forward. And of course, once more in this amazing campaign, we see goalkeeper Andy Watson pull off a great save, punching the ball clear. And there's Danny Churchill getting to the clearance, but immediately a Trevento player is at the ball and dives straight away in front of Churchill as Churchill wins the ball.
Cheating,
Thankfully,
diving.
yes, it really is amazing. Yeah. Well, I think there you hear from the crowd, listeners. Paul, yeah.
Did you say that was Churchill?
Yes.
Move on.
And yeah, move on. So as we said, the refs waved play on, but of course Danny Churchill would kind of stop, and the ball had broken to a Trevento player. And straight away we now see Trevor Dobbs. He's in to tackle, but another dive, and Dobbs just stands in his track. But once more, the ref waves play on. And can you believe the Trevento player now emerges with the ball? And now Johnny Dexter moves in to tackle, winning the ball, but another dive from one of the Trevento players. And it looks like a fair challenge to me, but the referee's not having it. He's blown his whistle, and can you believe it's a penalty to Trevento?
No.
Dexter's on his knees. Alistair Stewart is screaming at the referee. Can you believe manager Victor Boskovic has fainted on the touchline? And it's just as well for the listeners, just so that you can get a real feel for this drama. The last panel of that week's edition of the story, we see the Trevento centre forward step forward and smash the penalty towards the goal. And of course, back in 1982, you've had to have waited 7 days to find out what would happen. But here we can move.
Excellent section there, Paul. So find out what happened. No,
join us.
Carry on.
And of course, that next edition on the cover, we see that penalty, and it's struck towards Andy Watson. We see Andy Watson, he's diving towards the ball, and he saved it. He's the hero. Surely that's it. Danefield must be the cup. The players are about, no, I can't, but the referee's blown his whistle. He wants a retake.
No way.
I don't believe it.
I'm having a
Watson has
breakdown.
pulled off an amazing save, but no, the referee is insisting that Watson had moved before the kick was taken. And we're having well, we've got a reset again now. And again, the Trevento centre forward, he's stepping up to take the penalty. And he hits it to Watson's right again. Can you believe it? Watson saved it again. No, the whistle's gone. The whistle's gone again. The referee is saying the Danefield players have encroached. They haven't even had a chance to celebrate. It's going to be another penalty kick. I can't believe this.
We've only got an hour to go.
The penalty is going to be taken for a 3rd time. Surely Watson can't pull off a miracle of 3 penalty saves.
He can't.
This is just, I can't. I'm not sure I can carry on myself, but I'll do it for you, the listeners.
Well, I'm sure you will.
The Trevento forward, he's composing himself. He steps up, but this time he's just hammered it straight. Sorry. Yes, this time he's hammered it straight down the middle, and Watson's there, and he's gathered the ball. He's claimed the ball. The TV commentator is saying if they wrote this in fiction story, no one would believe it. But Watson has done it. He saved the penalty for a third time. 3 penalty saves. The Danefield players all over him. But I tell you what, Andy Watson seems to be the calmest man on the pitch at the moment. He's telling his teammates to calm down and wait until after the final whistle. The match isn't over yet. Get upfield. And the Danefield player, he rolls the ball out to Dexter. And I tell you, as he does, you can actually see the heads are dropping on the Trento players. Yeah. It looks like the heart's gone. Dexter's hit the ball upfield. England international Kevin Taylor's latched onto it. He's into the area. He fires in a ferocious shot. Oh, it's just wide of the Italian goal. But can you believe that's going to be the last of the action in this final? Danefield United are the European champions. Wow. They have beaten Toronto 4-3. And of course, manager Victor Boskovic is bouncing onto the field in that style, like we said. He's almost levitating. And of course, he's shouting out, my hero, my hero. He's dived onto his goalkeeper, Andy Watson, who surely after those penalty saves must be man of the match. And he's kissing him on the cheek in front of everybody. You can see Watson is very embarrassed by it all. But the Danefield players are all around and they're laughing as Victor exclaims them champions of Europe. And shortly afterwards, we see Johnny Hardman Dexter step up and he lifts the European Cup. And can you believe it? That's it. Danefield are the champions of Europe. And I think we'll just take a brief moment in time before we call an end onto this epic European Cup campaign to just go through that amazing team that has been assembled by Victor Boskovic. Of course, in goal, number 1, Andy Watson. Number 2,
Andy Watson.
Danny Churchill. Number 3,
Danny Churchill.
Trevor Dobbs. Remember Dobbs signed from Red Bull, the FA Cup winners only this season.
Number 3, 4, Trevor Dobbs.
Jerry Carlisle.
Number 4, 5, Jerry Carlisle.
Number 5, Eric Burnside, who was signed from
Eric Burnside.
4th Division Grimthorpe. And number 6, of course, our captain, Johnny Hardman Dexter. Number 7, Bob Baker. Number 8, remember Paul Kelly, who only got his chance in the first team when Victor was so annoyed at the Danefield players after that amazing match against the Norwegians and fielded all the reserves. And then number 9, Peter Parker. Number 10, England international Kevin Taylor. And number 11, Alistair Stewart, also signed this season from Red Bull. And the substitute, Jerry Winstanley. Those are 12 names that will be forever written into the folklore of Danefield United.
Bravo.
There you go, gents.
Hey.
Wow.
Hey.
You thought it would never end.
I'll tell you what, listeners, I'm sure you agree with me. There were times I didn't think we'd make it. You know, I'm in the studio with the lads and I nearly quit.
Oh, you know what? That was superb, Paul. That was absolutely brilliant. I'm just dreading the Super Cup next year.
Yeah.
Please tell me it didn't enter the Super Cup.
Well, do you know what? The funny thing is, I don't believe it was mentioned, but I don't want to give giveaways. But we've now seen Kings Bay win the UEFA Cup. We've seen Danefield United claim the European Cup. And of course, I'm sure all our listeners are of an age. Maybe there's one more European trophy. We need to figure out what happens. Of course, who might win the Cup Winners' Cup in our look back in comic book history.
Wow.
Lovely. I was living that final with you. That was fantastic, Paul. Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah.
No, it's brilliant. Yeah, I must admit, I mean, I do remember there were at times, I mean, it's quite far-fetched, and the comedy with Victor Boskovic is something. yeah. But again, that was one of those stories that definitely gripped me when I was first reading the Rovers Weekly.
Any listeners that want to revisit any of the old stories, feel free to get in touch with us and we'll send Tangent Paul round to sit opposite you on the sofa.
I tell you what, I'm going to say I'll be amazed if there's any takers on that.
And, you know, basically he'll sit down and, you know, go, well, I'm just going to make a cup of tea before I start. Can you believe it? No, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. And I know the listeners have enjoyed that. and looking forward to what you challenge next.
Cheers, gents. Thank you.
All right then. So before we head off towards Ridder's final special, the challenge, his final part, gentlemen, do you have any special moments from any previous episodes that you'd like to bring up that stick in your mind?
Loads, but I'm not sure we can mention them to the listeners.
Who wants to go first?
I put them on the spot. Yeah. Seeing as it's my birthday.
Well, I think for me, I remember just recording. Well, my first one was the second one. I remember being a bag of nerves before recording that, but kind of coming out the other end and sort of really enjoying it. And I think I did a Ridder's review. That was my contribution to that. But yeah, I do remember that one as we were heading into lockdown too. Momentous times.
Yeah.
And then very shortly afterwards, was it episode 5 or 6 even? Barry came on, really soon into the life cycle of the pod.
Pete Nash, Striker, episode 5, and then Barry Tomlinson, episode 6.
Wow,
which is astonishing.
5 and 6. That's really cool. Kind of showing the podcast. It's got a bit of we've got our audience, haven't we?
A bit of a niche.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think we've mentioned many times before, if Rab were here, he'd concur. We were just, a couple of lads that were worried about our mental health with all that was going on with COVID, and we wanted to get together and chat about comics. Mm-hmm. And we decided, we'll record it and maybe publish it if it's any good. I mean, episode 1 was, I wish there'd have been a swear jar for episode 1, because Jesus Christ. Oof, that was a shit show. That was, I can tell you now. We didn't have a clue what we were doing, and it was just me and Rab having a chin mic. Simo couldn't make it because of technical issues, and we published it, and the rest is history. Matt, what about you? I know that you came on as a guest around about episode 8.
I think it's 8 or 9. I can't remember, but yeah, no, that was great coming on. I know I was really nervous coming on, but obviously you were there, Rab, and Ridders was there as well. So that was I loved that, because I just thought it was an opportunity. I've never, we very rarely speak about Roy the Rovers or comics. You don't really come across people in normal life, so to speak. So having like-minded people to chat about it was superb. But yeah, so many great memories since then. Some of the guests we've had on. But just the laughs we've been having as well, going over these stories, but then being introduced to stories which I wasn't aware of. Like I said, the full picture story monthlies. I love those because they're stuff I didn't read back in the day. So many great memories. Top stuff.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I know Paul, the tangentster. I had nothing then. I'm so sorry.
You never normally do when it comes to me, Goal.
No, I know it's your shiny bonds. It's blinded me from my
There
nose.
it is.
There it is. There's a band name in there somewhere. Lush and the Shiny Bonds. What was I going to say? I know that you came on as a guest sort of latterly, but you were a listener, and I know you've listened to every episode.
Yeah.
17 times.
Yeah.
Do you have any memories?
Well, a bit similar to Matt. I mean, I must admit, and I'm not. We've had this conversation, and I've seen it on the forums. And but be fair here, the early ones were kind of maybe a little bit of a tough listen. But I've got so much. I can't think of the word, but for you and Rab to have done that, and yourself, Ridders, those early ones, I can't imagine what the admiration. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, words escaped me there for what you've done.
What?
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
I'm so sorry.
But to do that, and then as we've already mentioned, that the people that you got on was amazing, and very similar to Matt. I remember, when Matt contacted me and said about coming on, I was like, "What the hell do you want me to come on and interview?"
We've thought about it ever since.
Yeah, I'm sure you. I'm sure that's actually probably. This was a moment for the favourite moments, and not the biggest regret of the pod. Okay, but I'm sure we'll get to that in a future pod. But I think it's great actually. And Goal, I remember, you saying it to me when I was first interviewed, and it really did mean a lot because I sort of said not up to the caliber of your previous guests, but you made a real point of saying that everybody that we bring onto the show, and we've had some fantastic names, obviously, Barry Tomlinson, David Skew, Pete Nash, and Giles Corrin, of course. But other people, and I know we've got Neil Berrigan who's on the sites, and I've said this before, and honestly, guys, brilliant to hear all the amazing feedback that Matt did earlier on and the comments on the Facebook groups and Twitter. And if anybody wants to come on, please do, because we find your comic book stories and your thoughts about the comic books every bit as interesting as from those guys. Obviously, It's great to hear from the people that were actually involved, but just like us, it's brilliant to hear from the fans. So do you know something, Goal? It's really hard to pick out one moment, but I think it's great what you and Rab started, and to think that we are still going strong after 71 episodes. It's just, it's brilliant. Really is.
Excellent. Have I asked you, Ridders? I can't remember.
Yeah, sorry again. All right, okay, yeah. Shut up, Paul.
No, seriously, that was quite emotional words there. No, seriously, Paul went on for so long. I can't remember if I've asked Ridders. Ridders, did I ask you what your favourite moment is?
Yeah, you did. But just picking on something Matt was saying, sort of like, will we get to chat and talk about these comics? Because you don't meet that many people, sort of. So it's as much as an indulgence for us, really, as just making a pod, isn't it? Just hearing these stories. I mean, we just on Paul's Danefield then. I don't know if you saw me laugh on the camera, because when you flipped the screen, Big Daddy was there. That was absolutely spontaneous to me. And I was like, of course he is. But just sharing in little moments like that even is why the pod's so good.
Yeah.
And getting to know Paul's commentator voice every week. He was getting more and more high pitched then.
There's dogs that go mental in the background, aren't there?
Those weren't sirens you heard earlier on.
But fantastic story, really.
Yeah, well, nice words there it is. Matt, any final thoughts?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Yeah. Move on then.
I'm sorted out. I can't think of anything else.
Feel free to ask me.
Goal, have you got any kind of special? Sorry, hold on a second. I can't read. I can't read your writing, Goal. Goal, have you any memories of the shows, the 70 shows? Go. Over to you.
You having a stroke or something? No, I mean, I've said it before, just Pete Nash coming on. That was just breathtaking for me. Me and Rab were very nervous, but he was just wonderful. And then he obviously came on a second time as well. Just all the interaction, the sections, the friendships, it's just, I'm actually quite speechless when I think about that.
I'm glad I asked you. I thought you might come up with something. What's the point?
No, seriously, I'm actually welling up because, 3 years today, amazing.
Can I just just one last thing, obviously you didn't mention, but having Ed Taylor on the show as well, the guy responsible for the Facebook page, was absolutely brilliant, and I loved meeting Ed, and I do hope Ed does come back on at some stage as well. And one other thing from when I was a listener, and I really hate myself for this, I can never remember the gentleman's name, and I know we're kind of really based on the football comics, but we do touch on other genres. And the guy that came on and did the war comics, and again, for me, what was brilliant about that was just to hear somebody else who was just so passionate about what he read, and that you could just tell how much he enjoyed and loved that entire genre of comics. And that's what this podcast James Bacon. And you know what, that actually was a brilliant interview, and James, it was great. And as I say, I'm not into the genre, but I really enjoyed listening to you, and that's what it's about. We all share a passion, and and it's a safe space to come on and just share your thoughts and opinions on that passion. So
actually, I absolutely agree, because we kind of, forgive me, we slightly forget his episode when we mentioned people coming on. It was an absolutely brilliant episode, slightly different for us, but absolutely brilliant. And I will actually add one more thing about memories, and quite simply, and I've actually said this many a time, it's the way you guys and the listeners' interaction has made me, want to complete my collection and buy more and read all of the stories again and read the stories that I didn't read then. Like getting hold of the Match of the Day Roy the Rovers edition, which I'll talk about very briefly later. But yeah, it's just wonderful.
And loads of listeners have said that as well, haven't they? On the feedback I get is that it's reinvigorated their love comics.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
excellent. Thank you. Yeah, that was quite emotional. Seriously, it was. I'm not trying to do a joke, which I know it's rare for me, but the fact that people actually listen. Me and Rab didn't even think that anyone would listen, and I mean, after episode 1, Jesus Christ. I mean, I didn't think anyone would listen to episode 2, and then Ridders came on. He was brilliant, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Talking of Ridders, it's Cup Final Special. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah. knock the copper's helmet off. Here we go. Ridders, it's over to you. No theme tune this week because I can't afford it. We've had Stevie Wonder, Kings of Leon in. Giving it a rest. Right. Not today. So over to you, Ridders. What are you doing? We know what you're doing, but what are you doing? Luscious Locks.
Right, thanks, Gull. So it's part 3, the final part of our look at Football Picture Story monthly number 10, the challenge. In parts 1 and 2, we see we're in the year 2000, which was 14 years into the future when it was originally released. And we see the multi-millionaire owner of London United has offered to break up his dominating team if anyone can raise a team to beat them at Super Wembley. We've seen a Super League Select and a Scottish League team. They're dismantled 5-0 and 6-0. So it's up to out-of-work manager Mike Preston and his carefully selected team of honest pros to try to rise to the final challenge match and play London United. So we in part 2 of the look at the challenge, we left Mike's team during a friendly match before they take on London United, and after a slow start, they managed to pull a goal back, making the score 2-1 before half time with a lovely goal from Gilbert French. And into the second half, they're playing a bit better now, the select team. And tricky winger, Ronnie Sanderton, cuts it back to Kenny Parr for 2-2. And we see the confidence breed through the team now. And they add a third through Gilbert French again, and a fourth from Roy Dalglish. Don't like saying that name, but Roy Dalglish makes for a
just right.
I can't say why. Making for a jubilant dressing room afterwards. And we see the guys together in the dressing room, confidence, and it's all looking good. Even though in the background of that panel, we can still see Tim Vickery looking all moody and horrible, the goalkeeper. So the papers, they're a sort of a mixed bag, really, dealing with Mike's team. But Robert Murdwell, he doesn't want to take any chances. So the crafty millionaire, I think that says crafty. Anyway, the crafty millionaire, he phones up the Ipsford manager and tells him that he wants to buy Vickery for London United, just so he can't play for Mike's team, which is a bit dirty and a bit underhanded. And it's made clear if the transfer isn't agreed to, Murdwell will look at the Ipsford's manager's overdraft facility with Murdwell's central bank. So there's
nothing
lots of
underhand
dirty
there,
tricks. Yeah, lots of dirty tricks going on here. And Vickery ends up signing for London United, with Murdwell saying at the signing that, of course, you'll tell me all their plans as Vickery signs the dotted line.
With a big cigar in his mouth as well, isn't he? So really kind of,
he's the villain of the piece, isn't he? Yeah. But despite this, Mike actually keeps quite positive. He's telling his team that actually this sort of underhand move, it proves that they've got Merdwell worried. But everyone is actually worried about Merdwell, because Mike ends up phoning a few other teams to try to find a replacement goalie for Vickery. But with loads of these teams having some kind of financial ties in some way to Merdwell or his bank, they're not agreeing, they're not playing ball, so he can't get his man. And one plus point, Mike's son, who's obviously we've seen in the previous parts, he's a devout follower of London United. He comes to his dad and he says that he thinks Merdwell's pulled a horrible trick signing Vickery. And even he hopes that United lose in this game. And so Mike gets a flash of inspiration. He remembers a letter he received from Walter Hammond, who was suggesting to him a raw young goalkeeper called Tony Fulton. This was at the start of the story when Mike was sort of first assembling the team. And so Tony does join the side. And then we see like another week of intensive training. Mike's select arrive at Super Wembley. And his team are taking to the field sort of determined, looking good, with smiles on their faces. And Mike's confidently defending his 2-3-5 formation, as this is the most exciting way to play football. Yeah. So the match kicks off in the beautiful Super Wembley sunshine. Do you remember every cup final when you were a kid? It was always hot and sunny, wasn't it?
It was always sunny. Even when it rained, it was sunny. That was the magic.
Exactly.
It was crazy.
Exactly.
I do actually remember a couple of them raining, but it was still a bright sky during
always
the day.
sunny on cup final day. Yeah.
All right, Desi Lydham here again. Welcome to Wembley. Lovely. All right, sit down, take it easy. Desi's with you.
Oh, thanks, Daz. Fantastic. I want to hear more from Daz.
No, you don't.
So we kick off at Super Wembley, and unfortunately, in the aforementioned Super Wembley sunshine, there's an early cross, and our young goalie loses the ball in the sunshine, and London United go one up really early in the game.
Sorry, was that in the sunshine? That sounded very it was very Liam.
It was in the sunshine.
All right, lads. All right. Don't get back in anger.
Oh, there we go. Must be able to. No, I've got.
Must be. No. Keep going.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Anyway, some might say I should get on with it. Right,
just roll with it.
Anyway.
Oh God Almighty, guys.
Here we go.
I quit.
After our so after going 1-0 down so early, we see a panel of Sam Snedden and Kenny Parr, and they seem quite unimpressed with this young lad in goal. So they have a little conversation and they decide to try to cut out all the crosses themselves next time, and they'll take matters into their own hands. But on the next attack, this leads to a bit of confusion. Tony Fulton shouts "keeper's ball," but Sam Snedden heads it clear straight to London United's number 9, who crashes his volley against the crossbar. Again, more top artwork from Neville Wilson, who we've mentioned a few times during this. But that brilliant left foot volley smashing against the crossbar, that's great stuff.
Goal. No.
Yeah. And from the rebound, we see Jacko Jackson. He clears the ball to Harry Walker, and he knocks the ball onto Sparky Dodds. And then it goes inside to Ronnie Sanderton.
Sparky Dodds.
I love that name.
Yeah,
Sparky Dodds.
Yeah,
Sparky Dodds. Yeah,
electric.
Classic comic footballer's name. Isn't it? He is electric.
Oh, very yes.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I lined that one up about 20 seconds ago. Thank you.
So Sparky Dodds onto Ronnie Sanderton, and we kind of see some really good football from Mike Preston's select. We see London United's defender shouting, "Mark your man," and then number 2 replies, "Which one?" They're all attacking.
I love that panel, because you've got 5 players coming towards them, haven't you?
The
2-3-5. It's just brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great, isn't it? So Ronnie Sanderton basically runs at the defence. They don't know who to mark, and he just runs straight through and equalises.
Yes.
And it's a really good goal. I like in the panel next to it actually says there was a moment of stunned silence.
Yeah.
The crowd could not believe what they've seen, and suddenly there's a roar.
It really is great artwork, isn't it?
Yeah, fantastic.
But do you know what? That's what I love about these things. And as you said there, Ridders, it's only in the top panel, but I'm sure we've all been at matches, in massive crowds. And when there's a great goal scored, it's amazing. Sometimes there is that 1-2 seconds of just silence. So everybody's gone like, did that just happen? And then it just completely erupts. And that's what they've tried to encapsulate there. It's brilliant. It really is great.
Yeah. And in that panel, actually, where they talk about the stunned silence, we see Mike's son, Billy, who's actually supporting against London United in this one. So
his mate Sam Cook's there as well, isn't he? Sam Cook's there.
Yeah, Sam Cook. Yeah.
Yes.
Truly believing it's a wonderful world now, Matt.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
He actually looks in that picture. He looks like James Brown.
Yes, he does actually.
He does.
Yeah, he does. That is a brilliant spot. Actually,
he really looks like James Brown.
Good shout. I had never spotted that before.
Yeah.
He's feeling good there anyway.
Yeah.
He's got a brand new kit bag.
Nice one, goal.
I make up and go along.
You couldn't tell.
All right.
We've got, sorry. So after the scenes of delirium in the stand, in the next panel, we cut straight to a very close up of Snapper Todd, who was the captain of London United.
I think I had that for lunch.
And,
I must admit, I don't normally have Todd with my snapper, but fair enough.
Sorry, okay, right.
And for the gentleman, well, he'll be having the Snapper Todd.
And as we were actually talking about Neville Wilson, the way he draws Snapper Todd, I mean, he's
got it's really dark.
Silhouettes under his eyes. That's the most evil footballer who's ever lived. Look at that.
Those sunken eyes are really unreal, right?
I'm going to have to turn away. I'm going to go to sleep tonight.
Do you know what? They're not wrong there, and I've seen some of the ecstasy players. Jeez.
If anyone's playing podcast bingo, that's House.
So we got the evil.
Very funny.
The evil Snapper Todd. He's berating his defenders. He's got his finger in the air. He's pointing at the ball. And then number 3 saying, "We didn't know which one to go for. We didn't know which one to mark." So it's kind of a victory for this 2-3-5 formation.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later, we see Snapper Todd send Ronnie Sanderton flying with an awful tackle. It's just look at that. It's a terrible. I mean, the ball is a couple of yards away from from the tackle.
It's not even in the same panel.
Yeah, exactly. And also, the referee doesn't give that as a foul.
No.
And London United bear down on goal, but young Tony Fulton redeems himself. The young keeper, he bravely dives at the feet of their centre forward, and that's again page 57, a full page panel there.
Yeah,
brilliant artwork. Just as he's launching himself at the feet of the centre forward. But Mike's got a good team here, and they're always in the game. So Tony's pulling off another good save, and Ronnie Sanderton, he's teasing and tormenting London United, and this team of, as Vicky called them at one point, no hopers, actually gets to half time at 1-1 with this London United team who've battered everybody, and we see a furious Robert Murdwell at half time. He's got his hands in the air, and he's offering all his players an extra £2,000 to win the game because he just can't have this. And they do respond immediately. So soon as the second half starts, they go 2-1 up. But again, gradually, Mike Select work their way back into the game. Kenny Parr is sort of pulling the strings in midfield. And he finds Gilbert French. And Snapper Todd cuts him in half with an awful challenge. Again, just terrible tackle. Someone from the crowd shouts he nearly cut him in half. So we've got an idea of how bad that is. And the referee goes over, sorts it out. It's a terrible tackle on Gilbert French, but as we know Gilbert French from previous parts, he just keeps getting stuck in. And despite some fouling, shirt pulling, Gilbert French again physically gets past the defenders and fantastically makes it 2-2.
Yes.
Brilliant goal. And you can see the despairing Vickery there in the bottom panel. We can all laugh at him. 2-2, get in. So this Mike Select, they're absolutely flying now. And as they say, a stereotyped United sort of can't cope with this attacking, free-flowing football. And Snapper Todd takes matters into his own hands again. He sort of aims for Kenny Parr with 5 minutes left. And they collide in midfield with this really strong tackle. And as the ball rebounds from that tackle, it's Mo Mackay, is it? Yeah, I think it's Mo Mackay slips the ball through.
Yeah.
And Gilbert French latches onto it. Bang, 3-2.
Hey,
absolutely amazing.
Hey,
get in.
3-2, incredible scenes. And in that tackle between Snapper Todd and Kenny Parr, Snapper actually comes off worst, and he's actually got a broken leg. Kenny's obviously looking at the scene of the guys putting him on the stretcher, and he's just thinking to himself, well, it was just sort of an accident. And it's kind of there's a really good panel just after full time, and Edgar Hislop, he enters Merdwell's executive box as he's trying to cope with this defeat. And it looks like a bit like Victor in the previous part. Victor Boskovic, he's fainted himself. And he just can't handle this defeat. And he's actually saying, I think he's saying he's finished with football for good.
Yeah.
He's taking it that badly.
Yeah.
Well, one of his lackeys is leaning over him, fanning him with a piece of paper. And he's finished with football. So we cut from there, complete contrast to a happy Select dressing room, where Mike's actually telling Kenny that obviously he's still thinking about Snapper's broken leg, and he's saying that these things happen in football. Obviously, with the call back to the time where Mike Preston broke Kenny's dad's leg by accident in their sort of in their past, and Kenny's realizing, the more he's got to know Mike, and obviously with his own incident in this final game. Obviously, Mike wasn't to blame after all, and he wants to explain that to his dad. But as if that wasn't redemption enough, we even then have Mike Preston's son congratulating him at the end and calls him the greatest football manager ever, which is absolutely fantastic after he really didn't feel that way halfway through the story. So, yes, some journey, absolutely brilliant. Mike Preston's unfancied Select team have beaten the dominant London United playing football in the right way, in quotes. And we've gone over this, but it's just, for me, it's a classic story. I mean, I don't know how many times I've read this book. And it's got loads going for it. I mean, that's why it's probably taken up 3 parts, lads. Sorry, it's usually just
no, it's been brilliant.
It's been great.
Normal review, but yeah. But we've got what have we got? We've got David versus Goliath.
Again, he's looking at his collection.
Go on, Ridders.
I know listeners you can't see, but he's gone through his 70 billion comics. He's coming back with, which is amazing because he's got 70 billion, but he always seems to find the right one within 2 seconds.
He's got an encyclopedia.
Well, no, do you know what? I just was like you said. I mean, actually, the spine isn't as bad as I thought it would be because, like you said, I mean, I've read that easily well over 10, 20 times because it's such a great story. So it's amazing that it's still intact, to be quite honest. Yeah,
you sort of keep going back to it. I mean, I was making some headline notes as I went through just to recap, but it's the David versus Goliath thing, which is everyone loves that. The redemption, sort of Mike saving his reputation in front of his son, that sort of thing. And we've got also an old grudge being put to bed with the Jake Parr and that sort of thing. You know, obviously, we see a good bit of justice being meted out. Vickery's on the losing side, Merdwell's on the losing side. And I sort of thought there's a little bit about patience as well. Obviously, Mike has to wait sort of 30 years to be forgiven for that tackle by, father and son. It was 30 years ago, that tackle. And obviously that's sort of a little bit like with the lads he selects for his team. These guys are out of the limelight playing in the lower divisions, but with patience. And if you keep playing football, you get your break, that sort of thing.
Or your leg broke.
Or your leg broke. Yeah, exactly. And then we get the happy ending, really, where we're, playing football in the right way, in quotes, has eventually won the day where the good guys have beaten the bad guys. So fantastic story, loads of stuff going on. And after the Danefield United, when I'm describing that story, I'm off for a lie down.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant, Ridders. I mean, I just say on the panel, it did mention, didn't it, that Snapper Todd actually was all right, and it wasn't a broken leg, which was the nice little touch as well to the relief. But as you say, it touches on just so many things. But I remember when I read that. I mean, it's ridiculous because obviously, like you said, but back in the day, it was 14. You said 14 years in the future, but it almost felt there that Preston's select there, they'd saved football. It really did feel like that, because the doom of the Super League has been around for so long, but even back in those days, and so that dominance was absolutely brilliant. Great stuff.
Good stuff. Really enjoyed all of those. Thank you so much.
No, thanks guys, I enjoyed telling it, but we'll just keep it to one part next time.
That's great. Brilliant.
No, I was going to say, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all three parts. Brilliant stuff. Great stuff.
Just before we move on to Mute Button Matt's section, and just before we preempt that with a very brief extra bit from Tangent Paul, I'd just like to take this opportunity to blow our own trumpet. Forgive me. I just want to personally say thank you to not only everyone that's contributed to all of the previous 70 episodes, not including this one. This one's shit.
How can you use the cup final special? How can you say that?
All right.
I didn't hear a word of that. All I heard was a high-pitched whine. Were there any words attached to that?
All right, girl, Desi here. Cup final special. Shut your mouth.
It sounds like Smashy and Nicey. Let's rock.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Seriously, so Simo, Rab, Verto, all of our special guests. But personally, at the moment, I want to say a big thank you to Matt, to Paul, and to Ian. I know I don't often say his first name because this is a serious moment. Listening to you guys, so much prep goes into what those guys do when they're doing their sections, and they give up so much time. So I just want to say thank you.
Oh, cheers, mate.
Cheers, guys.
That's very nice of you to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I mean, we are getting paid for this, though, eventually, aren't we? Right? I mean, that was the deal.
That's what you said, Goal. That's what you said. That's what you said.
You said that to me, and you said it to Paul. You said it to Ridders.
Hang on. Dot wants a word. What are you talking about? I haven't been paid a penny since I've been in the green room. Bloody Kings of Leon in here, drinking all my tea.
Maybe talking of money.
Sex on fire. Oh, that's what I want to know.
Do you really? I'm not sure I do. That's a mental image I never thought I'd have in my lifetime.
But no, thanks a lot, lads. And for any listeners who are wondering who the bloody hell's Ian, I've never heard him mentioned before. That's Ridder's first name, but we just call him Ridders or Luscious Locks or Ridderway or
purely to keep him, keep the police off his scent. That's
okay.
I like Luscious Locks, actually. Yeah.
Luscious Locks, Hey, Paul, keep it brief, but let's briefly go back to you.
Yeah, so I think listeners will remember when we did podcast 69, we mentioned that on eBay, the first edition of Tiger had come up for sale and had the second edition. But the first edition, what was remarkable is it had its free gift fully intact and was in an amazing condition. And so that auction has now finished. And I'm just going to report, can you believe actually, it was only 3 bids. It had a reserve price of £999. There were 3 bids and one lucky person has secured, unfortunately not me, so I was saying one lucky person has secured that first edition for a whopping £1,170. So congratulations to that person, and I hope you enjoy it. But I think that's quite a moment for us, obviously, with what we discuss. And at the same time, shortly afterwards, the second edition went, and can you believe, well, I can't because I'm quite upset about this, just the one bid, and it went for its reserve of £499.99. Obviously, those bids are not, I'm not sure about the postage, but they both went and they secured their reserve prices. So if you think in total, those 2 first editions of Tiger have gone for over £1,600. So congratulations to those people that have won them. You now have an arch enemy in me, and if I can find your addresses, no, I'm just very, very jealous.
Pay for what you've done.
Exactly. No, I'm very jealous, but I hope you enjoy really, which for me is just absolute comic gold. So we thought we'd just give the listeners an update on those two Tiger editions. Fantastic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was watching it, as you know, Paul, as well.
Yeah.
Watching the bids, and
yeah.
and the flyer as well was amazing. There was the flyer which was in, I think it's in the first edition, and it was the color was incredible. I mean, this is 70 years old, and it's just a 2-page or 1 page, but on either side flyer. I mean, I bid for that, but I think it went for like 240 quid or something like that.
Really, it's interesting because I don't think I watched
that
that
after 50.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So I didn't watch that.
After 25p.
Yeah, I mean, there was also up for sale September 11th. There was a reproduction from 1979, and there were 7 bids on that, and that one just went for £21.87. But remember, that's just a reproduction, and I think that was like an A5 reproduction. But you're right, I forgot to save that one that you're mentioning. There, Matt, on the flyer. But yeah, some absolute comic gold. Should mention there, Phil's Comics. That sold those. Fantastic to see that. And yes, so you all know now, if you really want these editions.
Maybe one of the listeners was one of the, was one
well,
of the
I hope
people
so. I really
hope
do.
So that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah. No, brilliant.
Well, I can reveal now. Personally, I wanted to keep this secret, lads and gents and listeners, but it wasn't me.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say you bought it for Paul. I thought that was his. Hey,
as Shaggy once said, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Yeah. No, I don't mind admitting. I'm not going to go into the details. Unfortunately, something else I've got to have to do some works at home. Let's just say a little leak which stopped me from bidding. But yeah. Great news. It's
is
good
that
to
your
see.
own leaks coming
to do
out
with the house, nothing to do with me bodily
functions
or anything like that. Let's just clear that up. Thanks, Matt.
Well, you've got bloody hell,
a leaky
mate.
roof. Let's just say I've had a leaky roof.
You've got a leaky bodily function, and all the heat going out of your shiny bunts.
Hey, exactly.
Okay. Should we? Thank you very much for that tangent. It was nice to touch on that. Yeah. Mute button, Matt.
Yes.
You've got part 1 of a new section. It's the final
for the thanks, Guy. Yeah, so for the but for the sake of time, I'm only going to go through a couple of them.
But
because just to kind of kick it off, so to speak. So yes, Roy Race goes in goal. Obviously, since 1954 to 1993, he was playing his playing career in the comics and the annuals and the specials. So I think I've got all the times he went in goal. I don't know, but I mean, listeners can tell me if I've missed any out, and that includes Paul Chandler Richardson, obviously. So let me know if I've missed any out, but I mean, I won't finish them all tonight. I'll probably cover a couple. So the first one. So this is back in July 1963, I think. I say, well, this definitely was 1963, whether it's the first one or not. But the Rovers are on a tour of Greece. This is actually the time Paul Trevelyan is the artist actually.
Oh, right, yeah.
And the guys. Go on.
So I was just going to say, it's interesting you should say that, and we've had this discussion before, but actually seeing the panel, sorry, Matt sharing this panel, and I must admit, it made me think of "You Are the Ref," which is what Paul Trevelyan drew as well. So I can really actually recognise the artwork there. Sorry, Matt. Yeah.
No, yeah. Well, this is it. Well, I mean, yeah. Let's carry on. But you're right. He very, very distinctive style. We only did it for a couple of years, but anyway. So they're on tour in Greece, as the Rovers tend to kind of summer tour, and there's a bit of a convoluted story. But basically, they get caught up in a smuggling racket. Someone tries to befriend them, this villager, and there's some sort of front. He tries to smuggle watches. He's trying to make money so he can provide a water irrigation system to his poor village. The typical kind of story which every football team comes across on the summer tour. Anyway, I won't go through the whole story, but it ends up that Rovers are playing against a whole of Greece representative team. And if Rovers win, then the village gets their irrigation system.
Right.
I don't know if this was on TV back in the day. I don't know, but I don't know if who knows.
I think it was a sports night special from.
There's a sports night special.
Yeah.
Was Des there? Oh, Des never did that, did it? Was it Harry Carpenter? Wasn't it?
Yeah, Harry Carpenter. That's it.
It wouldn't have been running in '63 anyway, would it? So anyway,
No.
So what happens? Get on with it, Matt. Okay, thanks. So Tubby Morton makes a save, but he injures his leg. So the Greek trainer rushes onto the pitch, and he goes, "It's not serious, but it could become worse. If your goalkeeper carries on, you can't answer for the consequences." So Roy decides Tubby's going to have to go off. But who the heck can he put in goal? He actually uses that. I mean, it's 63. It's quite strong language, really. But I mean, who the heck can I put in goal? Well,
going in the 1963 swear jar.
The 1963, yeah, probably 10 bob or something like that.
10 bob.
Ron, Roy quickly thinks, and he peels off his shirt, and this is it. I'm going to go in goal myself. And so he's in goal. Cross comes over. He jumps. Let's have a look. He jumps through it. He jumps for the ball, but it swerves at the last minute and it goes in. So he's let a goal in straight away, Roy. So it's 1-1. The Rovers are already 1-0 up, so it's 1-1. Then game continues. Suddenly, Ozzie Jones sticks his hands up. Rovers player, centre half. He's in the penalty area. Handball. It's a penalty.
Sorry, I've got to say, looking at the what we can see on the screen, that ball looks massive.
Yeah. So remember, it's the old football. Yeah. It's the old leather ball. It's got all the extra mud and everything with the laces. It's collected it all. That's why.
Well, yeah, you get a great shot of the ball actually in the next panel actually.
Yeah.
So
it's brilliant.
The Greek player places the ball on the penalty spot. Strabio is his name.
Yeah,
sounds like another dancer from Strictly Come Dancing. Giovanni and Strabio. And yeah, somebody in the crowd says they say he has not missed a penalty in 3 years. Strabio.
Oh wow.
What's going to happen? Well, he's bound to score, isn't he?
Why is that man coming? 3 years. He's been watching. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah. It's a long match. It's a long match. I think Paul was commentating on it. So anyway, the player steps up. Roy saves it. He saves it. It's a bending shot though, because for a split second it seemed that Roy had gone the wrong way, but no, he'd guessed the right, and so he tips it around the post. So Roy saves it. It's still 1-1.
Sorry, Matt, just quickly, two things there. It's a banana shot penalty, and of course, as in the day, Roy is not wearing gloves.
No. Exactly.
Because
Good
that's-
spot.
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't
Good spot.
goalkeeper gloves
Yeah,
back then,
because
wasn't
it's for
it?
namby-pambies, aren't they? Gloves back then.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
it's not even for goalkeepers.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
And I liked the bubble which says saved. You see that? It's
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
it's
yeah,
A's.
Yeah, coming from the back of the grandstand, no doubt.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
So the game continues. Now, book bubble. It's 10 minutes to go. Roy's thinking, oh, the lads are almost out on their feet. It's up to me to pull something out of the bag. So what does he do? He clears the ball first. He punches clear. And what's happening? Someone from the crowd going, look, Roy Race is running from his net. And somebody goes, what's he up to now? He's left his goal. What sort of craziness is this? So now, Royce, now he's up to the edge of the penalty area, and he says, I've caught him on the wrong foot. A quick centre, and I've got a chance. And suddenly Leo, who's the Greek villager who's joined Rovers, there's always somebody who joins Rovers on a summer tour.
Yeah.
There's always got to be
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
And
This promising
brilliant at football.
youngster.
This promising
But then,
youngster.
for some reason, can't leave their country and become a full-time
And never
player
plays
with them,
for
and you get
Rovers
it. Yeah.
ever again. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, this is Leo. Welcome to Leo. He squares it to Roy, and he's cracked it like a bullet past the
That's
astonished.
unbelievable.
Well,
Yeah.
he would be astonished because there's a goalkeeper's at the edge of his own box. Buries it. Goal.
Brilliant.
2-1. They
What?
beat the Greek 11.
Yeah.
And that's it. Then everyone's so that's it. That was the first time I think that Roy actually goes in goal.
Do you know something? What I loved about that as well, I had no idea, because obviously we've had this conversation and I'm really intrigued to see how many times, and I'm not such an aficionado of these early years, but to see Roy in goal back in '63, but actually then take part in the game and score whilst this is the goalkeeper is just absolutely brilliant. It really is.
You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it, would you?
No. I mean, like the commentator said on the third penalty, you just wouldn't. If someone wrote this in fiction, you wouldn't believe
You
it.
couldn't make this shit up. You couldn't make this shit up. You really would. I dare anybody to try.
Exactly.
Talking about a funny. Sorry to interrupt. A funny brief story about goalkeepers scoring a match that I was announcing at Plainmoor at Torquay many moons ago, and it was a goalkeeper, kicking out of his hands and kicking. There was a bit of wind, so I looked down at my notes, thinking, right, nothing exciting is going to happen for the next 5 seconds. Just I had some notes that I wanted to check, and I looked up, and the bloody ball was in the net at the other end, and I'd only missed the goalkeeper scoring the goal. And I'm turning around to my colleagues going, Who scored? And they're going, the bloody keeper.
You missed that.
Brilliant.
Don't take the piss. And, and the only time I would have ever got to see live a goalkeeper scoring from his own, goal, and I missed it.
Oh, gusted.
I was well pissed off. I had a swear jar there.
I saw Peter Schmeichel score for Villa at Goodison Park.
Oh wow.
I was at that match. Yeah, he scored at the Gladys Street end.
Yeah. I went, oh wow, and then I realised actually, of course, not so great for you, readers.
This is Everton. It wasn't a positive story for Everton.
Even the goalkeepers are scoring against us.
Yeah. Peter Schmeichel from a corner. I think he volleyed it in. Yeah, unbelievable.
I will add. I saw our keeper in a playoff final, as you know, a couple of years ago, in the 94th minute, equalise in the last 10 seconds, and it took it to penalties, and of course we lost. Didn't get into the league, got relegated, down again. Off we go into administration and being wound up soon. So yeah, that went well. Move on.
Yeah. So anybody is still playing podcast bingo, you onto a new card now.
Apologies, we've ruined episode 72 bingo for you.
Matt, did you have anything more to say there?
Yeah, shall I do one more? So do one more just to wet, and then
because obviously that last one, you're right. That was covered by Sports View, and Sports Night was the successor of Sports View. So now I think we're going to be moving into the Sports Night coverage.
Okay. So the next one, so listeners, I'm showing the guys on the screen. We now move to November 1967.
Bloody hell, who's that?
And what's happened is Ben Galloway is in a nursing home at the moment because, and I haven't shown this, but in the previous week, a floodlight fell on top of him. but he's okay.
Ah.
So he's in a nursing home. He's alive, and we
Yep.
know that later on Ben Galloway is quite, he's a major part of the story. So he wouldn't be dead. I mean, that'd be crazy. You can't bring somebody back from the dead. But what's happened is a new director, a guy called Percy Hidget, has taken over temporary charge of Rovers. Now he's really big into science, and he does loads of scientific tests, and he uses a computer. Bear in mind, it's 1967, so computer the size of a warehouse or something like that.
Punch cards.
Punch cards, all that sort of stuff.
Babbage on
But he
Family
uses
Fortune.
he uses a computer to pick the team. Now, what is quite strange is that computer tells him to pick Tubby Morton as a centre forward and chooses Roy to go in goal.
This is brilliant.
Back him.
So,
Yeah.
so that's quite normal, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So what happens? So the first game, did I say who it's against? I can't remember. Oh yeah, first it's South Chester.
Yeah.
South Chester.
Yeah.
So they're playing against South Chester. Now, Roy does well. He's making the save there against the number 9. Then he comes out and he grabs another one. And the crowd are quite impressed about this, saying that that proves his first save was no fluke. Then he manages to, after half time, there's a pep talk, and South Chester still determined, but he's still punching the ball clear as Roy. And the crowd are saying, well, Tubby can do better. And the game finishes. He didn't let a goal in this time, so brilliant. That's 2 more points towards the championship. But what happens next? Well, he still goes in goal again because the computer's still saying you need to pick Roy. To be fair to the computer, it's a clean sheet. So I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, with that data, you'd stick with that.
You'd be crazy, wouldn't you? There'd be uproar, wouldn't there? Really?
Yeah.
I should actually said. I think in the first match I didn't put it on it, but Tubby actually scores 2 goals. So you got Tubby Morton scores 2 goals.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, mate, because you covered it briefly, didn't you, when you did the Tubby Morton
exactly.
comic life. It's brilliant. And so that was the game he scored 2 goals.
He scored 2 goals,
in the computer's defence, I mean, at the moment, he's seeming like just this amazing football manager. He's put the centre forward in goal, he's got a clean sheet, and the goalkeeper in front, and he's scoring.
Galloway might just give up. Yeah. I don't know. Really.
How had he not recognised this untapped talent in his squad?
Right. I'll tell you something. The video printer would be having some sort of bloody orgasm.
So they're playing a midweek game, and the crowd are going, they're fielding Saturday's team again. Roy in goal, Tubby at centre forward. It's crazy. Just because it came off once doesn't mean they'll get away with it again. Ben Galloway would never have stood for it. But I mean, they did all right. They won. Anyway, so the game goes on. There's an open goal at one point. Roy is right out of his goal, but they hit the post. So he keeps a clean sheet for the second game.
Wow, brilliant.
So what happened? What do you think happens next, guys?
Don't tell me Tubby scores.
Yes. No, the next game, he's in goal again.
So again, 3 games on the trot, he's in goal.
3 games on the trot. They're playing against Linfield now. They're trotting out. So he's still the goalie, but this time, once again, he decides to come out of goal, and he doesn't. He boots the ball up really high, and this kind of shows it's 1967 because someone in the crowd goes, Roy thinks it's a Sputnik. He's put it into orbit. So there's a nice kind of
brilliant
50s, 60s space reference for you there, which will mean nothing to the 20-year-olds who listen to this podcast. And many of them, so I was going to say,
who unfortunately we don't have as yet.
But he boots up so high in the sky that the astonished Linfield goalie, and you've got a picture of him with his hands over his eyes because you can't even see it. It's so high up. He's trying to
he's not wearing a cap.
The ball. He's not wearing a cap. He's got no gloves on either. What's he thinking? How can you go out like that? But what's happened? But the heavy, slippery ball, it bounces awkwardly, twists viciously, and it only goes into the bloody goal, doesn't it?
Bloody goal.
Goal
in the bloody goal, lad. Oh, shit.
And somebody in the crowd's got, that's one for the record book, not realising that only 4 years earlier, it scored, the goalkeeper had scored Roy, and it'd been Roy as well. I mean, it's not very good in their history, are they? The crowd. And that's
Obviously
it.
a part-time supporter.
Part-time supporter. So that's it. So yeah, and the game finishes that Roy and Blackie they're in the shower. Oh, we better stop the story right here, right now. It's getting really inappropriate. So yeah, so that's 4 times.
Wow.
I'm going to count that as 4.
Yeah.
I know it's only 2 occasions, but it's 4 matches that Roy's been in goal so far. And I'm going to pause there. We can pick it up next time to see how many more times Roy Race goes in goal.
That's fantastic. That is absolutely brilliant. I must admit, that's one thing I didn't realise, though, and I'll give you kudos there, Matt. I didn't realise that. And then, if you think about it, Roy has now played 4 times in goal and scored 2 goals from that position.
That's not bad going, is it? You can't.
It's pretty good, because I've got quite a few recollections of him going in goal, and I don't remember him scoring whilst wearing the goalkeeper's jersey. So that's brilliant to see that.
Well, I think it's every player's dream to have a clean sheet and score at the other end.
Yeah, definitely.
Every
that's
player what we all aim to do, isn't it? That's what we all aim to do, surely.
We'll just leave it there, I think.
We'll just leave it there. Goal. Back to you.
I'm not joining in with your filth. So yeah, I know that you edited that a little bit because of time issues, but I really hope that you'll extend the part 2 and really go in depth with that, because that is a little touched upon sort of section, really, isn't it? So I'm looking forward to your part 2. Bravo. Enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant.
Right. Shall we move on to what's coming up now? Excuse me. I will say that no doubt Ridders and Tangent Paul haven't lined up what their next things will be. So I won't ask them this time, but I'm sure that they'll have something lined up for the next episode, or perhaps the episode after. But Matt, I know we've got something special coming up. Would you like to reveal that? Another special guest?
Yes. So this is actually, it's on the back of the Melster. Actually, he mentioned it. He said about trying to get, just mentioned his name, actually showed a bit of his artwork on the screen. Paul Trevelyan. So again, really renowned artist who drew Roy, but obviously really famous for You Are the Ref. I've contacted him and he's happy to come on. So he's going to come on a future pod, probably in about a month's time. So we're really looking forward to that. Have him on and his recollections of drawing Roy and his career in comic art. I mean, if anybody's actually listened to Paul Trevelyan before, any of his interviews, he's a character. He is incredible. So yeah, can't wait for that. But yeah, so that's something to look forward to, the listeners to look forward to.
Yeah, that should be a great one.
Excellent. And really looking forward to that. And I will be doing a section. I know. I will be doing a section. Can you believe it, lads?
No.
And what?
That threw you, didn't it?
I quit again. And it'll be you're all right. I know, Matt. Podcast bingo. So I will be touching upon the Roy the Rovers 2-page strips in the Match of the Day magazine, specifically the last 4 or 5. Before because there are names. I mean, as I've said to you briefly in previous episodes, I've only just started collecting those, and I never read them at the time. And having a look at the few that I've got recently, there are names that come back up from the past, which is great, but also names that I've never heard of as well. So it'd be nice to inform listeners that may not have read those. I'll do a section on those. So looking forward to that. Ridders and Paul, do you have anything lined up, or shall we wait and see?
Well, just obviously, sorry, just as Matt said, and we mentioned earlier on when we were talking about, the previous podcast, mentioned it before, I've been in touch with Neil Berrigan. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll be talking to Neil, and hopefully we'll have Neil on in the next couple of podcasts. So that's another great interview with one of the listeners, and obviously a fan of the Roy the Rovers comics. And I believe Neil was also quite a big fan of the Football Picture Story monthlies as well. So that'll be good and something to look forward to.
Yeah, and I was probably going to go.
Excellent. Anything lined up with a few?
Yeah.
Sorry, go on with this.
No, I was going to say probably my next thing will be going back to United in some
Excellent.
way or other. Miss the lads, so yeah, we'll do something on them.
I just want to mention Eaglerich on the Champ We United Facebook page, mentioning today in a post about some more Football Picture Story monthlies that are in the Unitedverse. So check them out. It is just brilliant how large the Unitedverse is now, really.
Yeah. He spotted a couple in spot there, all the United.
Sorry, Ridders, we kind of lost you a little bit there. You were doing an impression of Goal when he does his impression of the Daleks.
Oh, was I? Was it as accurate as Goal's impression?
It was a pretty good impression of Goal doing an impression of the Daleks.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mine's been quite good today.
Yeah. No, I was just to say, going back on his post, I think he'd spotted West Hampton and another team from the Unitedverse, and yeah, we like linking all that together. So if any of the listeners do come across Unitedverse, yeah, put it up on the forums.
Excellent. Excellent. Just to reiterate as well, next time Matt will be doing Roy Racing Goal Part 2. Looking forward to that.
Yep.
Okay, it's time for the social media sites. Who wants to go first? Here we go. No pressure.
Okay, come on then. As it's the 3-year birthday, how it all started, then the website weareunited.proboards.com, and we say every episode, fantastic site for all your references across all the multiverses and so many things. Over 50,000 posts, brilliant reference site. A lot of the more content is moving to Facebook, but if there's really questions or things that you want to know, I'd definitely suggest go onto that Pro Board. So again, that's weareunited.proboards.com.
And we wouldn't be here without that forum, and even more so as well. And I know Ridders will agree because he was part of it too. The old Run Board Roy Race Talking, which is where we first met, didn't we, Ridders? So yeah,
that's right. It was dedicated Roy Race Board, but there was an other comics, other teams section, and we started talking about United on that, didn't we?
We did, yeah. And it's sort of kind of
monthlies.
Yeah. And with respect, it kind of sort of maybe sort of tailed off a little bit, and then we decided to set up our own forum with no disrespect to that, because we really wanted to focus on Champ, but then it went into everything. 55,000 posts, like you said.
Yeah.
Wow. Matt, what are you going to do?
So we've got the Facebook sites. We've got Roy the Rovers 40 years on, and we have the Champ We Are United and Football Picture Story monthly Facebook site. So, lots of posts, lots of brilliant actually posts on there. Lots of people joining the sites as well. So it's, if people aren't on there already, I definitely recommend you joining it.
Excellent. Ridders?
Yeah. So you can find us on.
Here we go.
It's called X.
Take your time, lad.
So
it's called X.
It's called X.
I've got to write this out. I have got to write this out. So you can find us on X, formerly known as Twitter. And
I don't know why I'm putting it on the screen because it's backwards.
Thanks, Matt. No, it's towards me. So we are.
Do you know what? He's gone Dalek-y.
Yeah.
Do it again, Ridders.
Shall I try again?
Yeah, go for it.
Am I all right now? Yeah, so it's at champ_ARE.
Yep.
At champ_R. And I'm going to write this bit down and get it a bit tighter. I'll get it down to a minute.
I say this every episode. I've really got to sign up to
I'm
X.
impressed. You only started on episode 2, and we're only on episode 1. But take your time. from me, if you want to listen to any of the previous 70 episodes, then go to whichever platform that you go to listen to. I myself re-listen on Spotify. Everything's there. All 71 episodes will be there once this is published. So have a scroll down, and if you fancy listening to a previous one, then brilliant. How does that sound?
Yep. Fantastic.
Cool.
Right. Should we do the goodbyes?
Yep.
Oh, hang on. Who is it? What's that, Doc? Oh, I've got another guest. Oh, I can't believe it. Who is it? All right, come in. All right. It's only bloody Claire Grogan of Altered Images. What do you want? Right, oh, right, okay. She hasn't got a microphone. Hang on. Oh, right, yeah. Third birthday. All right. Come over here. Off you go. Here we go. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Thank you.
Oh, Claire Grogan.
Oh, no. Gregory's girl. Oh, yeah.
Wasn't she Kachansky off Red Dwarf as well?
He was the original Kachansky.
Kachansky.
Yeah.
She was Kachansky on Red Dwarf, yeah.
But then she was replaced by...
Chansky.
What's she called? No, who replaced her? I forgot her name. Francescus? Save that for another day because we've already been on 16 hours.
Yeah.
It feels like it as well.
Let's do the goodbye, shall we? Okay. My random roulette wheel of who's going to go first stops at Matt.
Okay. Goodbye. No, thank you. Yeah, good show tonight. Really enjoyed it. Looking forward to all the stuff that's yet to come. So yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed it. Cheers, Carl.
No, thank you. Oh, random wheel of fortune. Where do you stop? Oh, it's only Paul. Go on, Paul.
Yeah, another one in the can, so to speak. Absolutely loved this cup final special. There you go. Preston Select saving British football, and Victor Boskovic and Johnny Dexter lifting the European Cup. I don't think you can get much better than that. So yeah, looking forward to the next one now.
Excellent. And random randometer of thermometer stops at. Oh, Des Lynham. Oh, Des, all right. Des, you want to say goodbye? Come over and all right. I enjoyed it too. Sit down by the fire with Desi. All right. And finally, it's Ridders.
That is just smashy and nicey. That's great. Thanks. Yeah. As long as I'm not being too Daleki, I'll keep it short. Another good episode. Really enjoyed all the content. I'm looking forward to the next one already. Cheers, guys.
Excellent. And of course, it's not the final. Ridders is me as well. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm not going to forget to introduce myself. What? What I just... I don't know what I just said. Okay. Gull here. Hello. Saying thanks for all your contributions today, gentlemen. And I hope you listeners enjoy it. We will be back in 2 weeks' time with episode 72. And thank Christ that Paul Tangent Paul is finished talking. Enjoy the episode. Well, no, enjoy it. If you listen to that bit now, you would have already listened to it. All right, leave it. Next time. Bye.